3 nights after my emergency C-section, I handed my newborn son to my sister and closed my eyes for 1 minute. I woke to empty arms, a crushed foreline, and nurses whispering my name like a warning. She said he needed fresh air, that I was paranoid from pain meds. Then 2 police officers walked into the maternity corridor, boots squeaking on the tiles, and asked me to repeat my sister's story. A security guard rolled in a monitor. The CCTV clip started. My sister smiled at the camera, then did something that froze my blood in front of me. The hospital room smelled like antiseptic and warm milk. My body still trembled from the emergency C-section, every breath a reminder that life had split me open and stitched me back together in one violent, miraculous night. My son slept in the bassinet beside me, a tiny bundle of quiet breaths and soft fists, the only calm thing in the chaos that had become my world. And beside him stood my sister, Layla. She brushed her fingers over his cheek with practiced tenderness, smiling like an angel who had arrived just in time. Everyone said I was lucky to have her. My husband was overseas on a business trip, unreachable except for rushed voice notes and delayed messages. Our parents lived in another city. Layla was the one who stayed. She handled the paperwork, argued with nurses about my pain medication, even braided my hair when I was too weak to lift my arms. "I've got you," she whispered that morning, adjusting the blanket around my son. "Both of you." I believed her. Completely. The first crack came quietly. I woke from a drug-heavy nap and saw her holding my baby too tightly. Not painfully, just possessively. She was humming a lullaby I didn't recognize, her eyes locked on his face in a way that made my chest tighten. "You should rest more," she said when she noticed me watching. "You're exhausted." "I want to hold him," I replied, forcing a smile. Her fingers hesitated before passing him to me. A tiny pause. Barely a second. But I felt it. That night, she insisted on staying while I slept. "You need uninterrupted rest," she argued, gently but firmly. "I'll watch him." I nodded, guilt clawing at me. What kind of mother refused help after major surgery? Still, when I closed my eyes, something inside me stayed awake. The next day, she started asking strange questions. "Have you thought about hiring a nanny long-term?" she asked casually while scrolling through her phone. "He's 1 day old," I said, laughing weakly. "I just want to get him home first." "Of course," she replied quickly. Too quickly. "I just mean, you'll be overwhelmed. You'll need support. Real support." Her words lingered long after she left the room to fetch coffee. Real support. Wasn't she already that? By evening, my stitches burned and the room spun whenever I tried to sit up. Layla moved around like she owned the space, talking to nurses, adjusting the curtains, even answering my phone when it rang. "Hello?" "Yes, she's resting," she told someone. Then she hung up before handing the phone back to me. "Just a wrong number." I frowned but said nothing. I was too tired to question the one person who seemed to be holding my life together. That night, the trigger incident happened. I remember it vividly because it felt so small at first. "I'm going to step out for 5 minutes," I told her, trying to stand. "I need the restroom and maybe some fresh air." The doctor said short walks help circulation. Her eyes flashed with something I couldn't read. "You shouldn't walk alone yet. I'll take the baby to the corridor while you go." "It's okay," I insisted gently. "Just keep him here. I'll be quick." She smiled. "Trust me." I hesitated, then nodded. Those 2 words, "trust me," echoed louder than the hospital alarms. I left for what should have been 1 minute. 2 at most. The corridor lights were dim, nurses whispering behind desks, carts rolling softly over polished floors. I splashed water on my face, stared at my pale reflection, and told myself I was just tired. Hormonal. Overthinking. When I returned, the bassinet was empty. At first, my mind refused to understand what my eyes saw. The blanket was still warm. The tiny cap he wore lay folded neatly beside it. But my son, my newborn, was gone. "Layla?" I called, my voice cracking instantly. No answer. I grabbed the 4-pole, stumbling into the hallway. Panic rose like a tidal wave, each second heavier than the last. My stitches screamed, but fear drowned the pain. "Nurse." I shouted. Where is my baby? My sister took him out. Where did she go? Two nurses exchanged a glance. One hurried down the corridor, the other guided me back toward the room. She probably just stepped out, the nurse said gently, though her eyes betrayed worry. She wouldn't, I whispered. She said 5 minutes. It's been 10. Then 15. Then 20. My breathing turned shallow. The world narrowed to the empty bassinet and the sound of my own heart pounding like an alarm no one else could hear. Finally, Layla walked back in. She looked calm. Too calm. There you are, she said cheerfully. You should be in bed. You're overexerting yourself. Where were you? I demanded, voice shaking. You took him without telling me. I told you I'd step out for air, she replied smoothly. You must have been more tired than you thought. Her explanation sounded reasonable. Almost logical. But something in my gut twisted violently. I asked you to keep him here, I insisted. And I did what was best for him, she snapped softly, then quickly softened her tone. You're emotional right now. Post-surgery hormones. It's normal. Normal. That word felt like a dismissal, like my instincts were being labeled as weakness. I clutched my baby tighter, inhaling his milky scent as if he could anchor me back to sanity. But my hands wouldn't stop trembling. The next day, the escalation began. My husband called on video, finally free from meetings. Layla stood beside me, answering half the questions before I could speak. She's recovering well, she told him. But she's very fragile. I think she'll need help longer than expected. I can manage, I interjected quickly. He frowned. Are you sure? Maybe Layla should stay with you a few weeks after discharge. My heart dropped. She lowered her gaze modestly, as if embarrassed by the suggestion, but I caught the brief flicker of satisfaction in her eyes. I'll do whatever my sister needs, she said softly. Later that afternoon, she offered to watch the baby while I rested again. I hesitated, the memory of the empty bassinet still haunting me. You don't trust me? She asked quietly. The accusation pierced deeper than any surgical pain. I do, I whispered. Of course I do. That night, exhaustion finally defeated fear. My body gave up the fight, and I drifted into a heavy sleep, one arm still resting protectively on the edge of the bassinet. I don't know how long I slept. Maybe minutes. Maybe an hour. But when I opened my eyes, the room felt wrong. Too quiet. Too still. My arm slid forward instinctively. Empty. The bassinet was empty again. The 4-line on my hand had been gently moved aside, as if someone didn't want to wake me. The blanket was folded perfectly, almost ceremonially. A cold wave washed over me. This time, my scream tore through the maternity ward before I could stop it. Nurse. My baby is gone. Footsteps thundered. Doors opened. Voices overlapped. Someone pressed a call button. Another nurse ran to the corridor, shouting for security. And then 2 police officers walked in, their uniforms suddenly more terrifying than reassuring. Ma'am, one said carefully, we need you to stay calm. Can you tell us who last had your baby? My sister, I whispered, shaking uncontrollably. She said she was just taking him for a minute. The officers exchanged a look. A security guard rolled in a portable monitor, plugging a cable into the wall. The screen flickered to life, showing a grainy black and white view of the maternity corridor. This is the CCTV from 30 minutes ago, he explained. My heart slammed against my ribs as the footage began. There she was. My sister. She walked out of my room carrying my newborn, smiling sweetly at the nurse's station as if nothing was wrong. Then she paused near the camera, adjusted the blanket around his face, and slowly looked straight into the lens. She smiled. Not warmly. Not lovingly. But like someone who had just won. Then she did something that made the blood drain from my entire body while the police officers stood silently behind me, watching my world shatter in real time. The CCTV clip didn't just show my sister leaving the room. It showed her stopping under the camera, adjusting my baby's blanket, then pulling a tiny hospital ID band from her pocket. My son's band. She peeled it off with careful fingers and slipped it into her purse like it was jewelry. Then she turned, cradling him tighter, and walked toward the stairwell, away from the nursery, away from the elevators, away from any direction a normal caregiver would go. My throat went dry. My voice wouldn't come out. The security guard paused the video and rewound. "She removed the bracelet," he said quietly, like he couldn't believe his own words. The officer nearest me spoke, firm but controlled. "Ma'am, is your sister authorized to take your child out of the ward?" "No," I croaked. "No, she's not. She was just helping me. She would never." But even as I said it, my mind betrayed me with every small moment I'd ignored. Her possessive hold, her strange questions, the way she answered my phone, the way she said real support like I was unfit. A nurse pressed my shoulders back toward the bed. "Breathe," she whispered. "Your blood pressure." I didn't care about my blood pressure. I cared about my baby. "Find him," I begged the police. "Please. He's so small. He needs me." The officers moved fast after that. Radios crackled. Security locked the stairwell exits. Nurses checked every room. The maternity floor became a storm of shoes and voices and bright panic. And then, like a cruel joke, Layla appeared at the doorway. She wasn't holding my baby. She held a diaper bag instead, her face arranged into perfect concern. "What is happening?" she demanded, stepping in like she was the victim. "Why are there police here?" The officer turned toward her. "Ma'am, can you step aside and answer a few questions?" Layla blinked, offended. "I'm her sister. I've been caring for her the entire time." "Where is the infant?" the officer asked. "In the nursery," she said instantly. I made a sound half laugh, half sob. "Liar," I whispered. Layla's eyes snapped to me, sharp as glass. "Don't start," she hissed under her breath. Then she turned back to the officer, sugar returning to her voice. "She's confused. She's been on strong medication." The officer didn't move. "We have footage," he said. "We need you to tell us where you took the baby." For the first time, Layla's mask slipped. Just a flicker, but I saw it. Fear. Calculation. Then she sighed dramatically. "Fine. I took him to the family restroom on the lower floor because he spit up and I didn't want to disturb her." "Lower floor," the officer repeated. "You went down the stairwell?" "Elevator was slow," she answered too fast. The security guard tapped the screen, replaying the moment she removed the ID band. Layla's face emptied of color. The officer's tone hardened. "Removing a hospital bracelet is not cleaning spit up. That's concealment." Layla's gaze swung to me again, and suddenly there was no tenderness left, only rage. "You're ungrateful," she hissed. "After everything I've done for you." I couldn't speak. My whole body shook. Then my emotional support arrived like a lifeline. Dr. Sinha, my OB, pushed into the room with a nurse beside her. "What's going on?" she demanded, eyes darting from the police to me to Layla. "Why is my patient crying?" The officer explained in clipped sentences. "Possible abduction. CCTV shows sister removing ID band and exiting by a stairwell." Dr. Sinha's jaw tightened. She stepped closer to Layla. "Did you take that child off this floor?" Layla lifted her chin. "He's family." "That baby is a patient too," Dr. Sinha snapped. "And you are not his legal guardian." A moment of silence passed, thick and electric. Then one officer said, "Search her bag." Layla clutched the diaper bag to her chest. "You can't." The officer took it gently but firmly, unzipping it. Inside were diapers, wipes, and a folded hospital discharge form. Not mine. A different name was printed across the top. I leaned forward, squinting through tears. "What is that?" Dr. Sinha took the paper, reading quickly. Her expression shifted from confusion to alarm. "This discharge form," she said slowly, "was printed for an infant in NICU 2 floors down. Not for your baby." Layla's lips parted, then closed. She looked trapped. The officer's voice turned cold. "Where is the child?" And then Layla broke, just enough to show the truth. "I was saving him," she snapped. "She's not stable. She's weak. She married a man who's never home. That baby deserves a better mother." My vision blurred with fury. "I am his mother," I whispered. Layla laughed, sharp and ugly. "You're a stitched-up body in a hospital bed. I'm the one who was there." Dr. Sinha stepped between us. "You need to stop talking." But Layla leaned around her, eyes gleaming. You don't even know the best part, she said softly. Your husband already agreed I should help raise him. The words hit like a slap. My husband agreed. The officer raised his radio. Initiate hospital-wide alert. Check exits, parking, stairwells. And then another sudden entrance. My husband walked in. Not on a screen. Not in a voicemail. In person, hair messy, face pale, suitcase still in his hand. He looked like he'd run through airports without stopping. What he started, then froze when he saw the police. His eyes landed on Layla. Layla, what did you do? She turned toward him like she'd been waiting for this. Tell them, she said, voice trembling into performance. Tell them you know she can't handle this. My husband's mouth opened. Closed. His eyes flicked to me, to my tears, to the empty bassinet. And then he did something I didn't expect. He set his suitcase down, walked straight to the police, and held up his phone. I need to show you something, he said, voice raw. I didn't know until 10 minutes ago. My heart stuttered. What? He swallowed, looking sick. I was on my flight back when I finally listened to the voicemail she left me last night. He tapped his screen. A recording began, Layla's voice, smooth and confident. Don't panic. The baby will be with me soon. Once you sign the custody addendum, she won't be able to fight it. You promised. My lungs stopped working. Dr. Sanaa's eyes widened. Custody addendum? My husband's hand shook. She told me you were spiraling. That the hospital was worried. She sent me papers to sign just in case I didn't sign them. I thought it was temporary guardianship in an emergency. Layla's face twisted. You were supposed to trust me. I trusted you, he snapped, voice rising. Because you told me my wife was unstable. My humiliation surged into rage, because the betrayal wasn't just Layla stealing my baby. It was her using my marriage like a weapon. The officer held up a hand. Sir, can you forward that recording? Yes, my husband said quickly. Everything. Texts too. She's been messaging me for weeks. Weeks. While I was pregnant. While I was building a life. My sister had been building a trap. The police moved fast. One officer stepped toward Layla. You're being detained. Tell us where the infant is now. Layla's eyes darted, calculating escape, but the security guard was already at the door. She shook her head, jaw clenched. I didn't hurt him. Where, the officer repeated, is the baby? Layla's voice dropped into a whisper that sliced me open. In the old staff lounge, she said finally. Down the west stairwell. I needed time. The sprint that followed didn't feel like my body. Dr. Sanaa insisted I stay, but I forced myself up, pain exploding through my stitches. My husband caught me before I fell. I'm here, he said, voice breaking. I'm not leaving you. We reached the west corridor, police first, security behind them, doors swinging open, fluorescent lights harsh and unforgiving. Then I heard it. A thin, desperate cry. The sound of my son. An officer pushed open the staff lounge door. There, on a couch beneath a forgotten hospital poster, lay my baby, wrapped in a blanket that didn't belong to us, his face red from crying, tiny fists shaking. I surged forward with a sob that came from my bones. My baby, I gasped, gathering him against my chest. He quieted instantly, as if he knew the truth of my heartbeat. My husband dropped to his knees beside me, tears slipping down his cheeks. I'm so sorry, he whispered. I didn't see it. I didn't understand what she was doing. Behind us, the officers cuffed Layla. She fought at first, spitting venom about how I didn't deserve motherhood, how she was the stronger woman, how she was the only one who cared. But the evidence had already buried her. CCTV. The bracelet. The discharge form. The voicemail. Justice didn't arrive with fireworks. It arrived with cold metal cuffs and a quiet, final statement from the officer. You'll explain it all to a judge. Later, after my son was checked, after my heart rate stopped racing, after the chaos cooled, Dr. Sanaa sat beside my bed and placed a gentle hand on my wrist. You were right to trust your instincts, she said softly. Never let anyone tell you your fear is just hormones. That night, my husband sat in the chair by my bed, his hand wrapped around mine like he was afraid I'd vanish if he let go. I chose wrong, he confessed, voice low. I listened to her instead of you. I wanted to fix things fast, and I let her use that. I stared at him, exhausted and wounded. Why didn't you come sooner? His eyes filled again. Because I was a coward, he whispered. And because I thought you were safe with family. Family. The word tasted bitter now. But as my son slept on my chest, warm and alive, I felt something else beneath the pain, something steady. Power. Because Layla had tried to take my life apart, and she failed. The hospital cameras saw her. The police heard her. And the truth, my truth, stood tall when her lies collapsed. In the weeks that followed, there would be hearings. Orders. Restraining papers. A judge who would look at the footage and the voicemail and decide what Layla deserved. But in that quiet hospital room, with my baby breathing against me and my husband finally present, the world softened. He leaned closer, forehead touching mine. When we go home, he whispered, I'm taking leave. No trips. No excuses. It's you and me and him, and I'll earn my way back, one day at a time. I didn't promise forgiveness. Not yet. But I let him stay. I let him hold our son. I let his tears fall without mocking them. Because even after betrayal, even after public humiliation, even after the worst kind of fear, I was still here. And this time, I wasn't alone. Not anymore.